Hey guys, welcome back. Today I am going to be filming a video on all the palettes I would keep if I could only keep one per brand that I own. So for the purposes of this video, I'm only going to be talking about brands that I own more than one palette from, because obviously if I only own one palette from them, then I would keep that one. So I'm only going to talk about the ones that I own two or more of. And I have a lot of palettes in front of me, so we're just gonna get started. Okay, so I'm gonna go in alphabetical order because it's just gonna be the easiest for me to keep track of what I've got. So first up is ABH, and I own Norvina and Subculture. And of the two, I would keep Norvina. And the reason being, I personally feel like I'm more inspired by the Subculture color story. However, if I could only keep one of the two, I think I would end up getting more use out of Norvina, and there's more shimmers in here, and I love my shimmers. I think that's my main I guess complaint, not really complaint, but like the main thing that bothers me about the Subculture palette is the lack of shimmers. I think there's only 2 shimmers in that palette, and this one, half of the palette is shimmers. So I would have to go with this one. Next is Beauty Creations, and I have the Esmeralda 2 and the Cali Chic, and I would keep the Esmeralda 2. And reason being is there's more color selection. The Cali Chic is all like bronze and orange and like browns, and it's a 9 pan, and this has more shades. It's still got neutral shades, but it's also got some like other colors and stuff going on. So really the color story and the shade selection is the reason. Next is BH Cosmetics, and from them I own Foil Eyes, Galaxy Chic, Lost in Los Angeles, Wild and Alluring, Wild and Free, Wild Child, and Zodiac Love Signs. And of those, I would keep Zodiac Love Signs. And show you what this looks like. It is a large and in charge palette. I really like my Lost in Los Angeles palette, and if I didn't have this one, I'd probably keep that one. However, this one has like a whole rainbow of shades, plus it has a highlighter, plus it's like Zodiac themed, and I just am a sucker for their baked shimmers. It's just so good. It's so good. I would have to keep this one, even though I do really like the Lost in Los Angeles palette. Also, the Lost in Los Angeles is, like, the color story is a little chaotic. Like, not that the colors don't necessarily go together, it's just that I feel like they're not arranged in a way that is very cohesive. I don't know. Next is Ciate London, and I have the Editor palette and the Velvet palette, and I would choose the Editor palette, which is this one. The front is really cute. It's like palm leaves, but this one has a wider shade selection, and honestly some of the shades seem kind of similar. It's definitely, I think it's a different formula, but more shade selection is really the reason why I chose this. So pretty simple. Next is ColourPop, and I own the first Hocus Pocus palette, Witching Hour, which is the second Hocus Pocus palette, the Pretty Guardian Sailor Moon palette, Strawberry Shake, Sweet Talk, Powerpuff Girls, ColourPop Land, Candy Castle, and The Nightmare Before Christmas. And out of all of those, I would keep this. This is the second Hocus Pocus. You guys, the palette is just gorgeous. And then the colors inside are just so fun. I love that the like 3 center rows, the colors are like based on each sister. And then you've got some neutrals around it. You have your like warm tone neutrals and your cool tone neutrals. And I just love that so much. I mean, I guess these are, it's not like super warm tone. It's more like a neutral. I don't know. But out of all my ColourPop palettes, this is the one that I would keep because I have to keep a Hocus Pocus palette. I can't not keep a Hocus Pocus palette. And out of the two, I like this one more because it is more colorful. The shades are also, like the pans are also larger, I'm pretty sure. And I like the packaging more. So, also luckily I don't actually have to get rid of any of my palettes because these decisions would make me legitimately sad if I had to get rid of them. Okay, next up is e.l.f. I own the e.l.f. Bite Size Quad in Carnival Candy, the e.l.f. Mad for Matte, Opposites Attract, and Retro Paradise. And I would obviously keep the Retro Paradise because I cannot tell you how amazing the quality is on these shadows, especially the shimmers. Like the mattes are good. The shimmers are incredible. Especially this Paraiso, I don't know how you say that. This one right here. Ooh, it's great. That's a good one. The Rise and Shine like gold-ish shade with like the greeny undertone is also really good. They're all so good. I would be so sad if this was ever out of my life because I love it so much. In fact, I need to pull this in to my summer Shop My Stash because absolutely. Next up is Glamlight, and I only own 2 palettes from Glamlight, and those are the 2 Scooby-Doo palettes. So the Ruh-Roh Raggy and the Creeps and Crawls. And of the 2, I would keep the Ruh-Roh Raggy palette because I am an absolute sucker for like greens and periwinkles and blues, and these are just so gorgeous. I love this color palette. And actually, you know what? Now that I'm thinking about it, I might switch one of my other choices. We'll see when we get there. But the color story of this is very similar to the color story of one of the other palettes that I picked. So I may have to change that. Because of the two Glamlight ones, I definitely would keep this one. However, I was really torn on the other brand. So we'll have to see when I get there. But definitely the Ruh-Roh Raggy palette. And then I've got 2 palettes from Hip Dot. They're both from the Tapatio collection. I have El Dorado and La Diabla. And which one is this? I don't know which one this is. Oh, this one's El Dorado. I would keep El Dorado. They both have pressed glitter. I kind of like this pressed glitter a little bit more. I also like that there's this like lime color. I picked it because I like the color story a little bit more in this one as like a standalone palette. So definitely this one. I love that I own Tapatio palettes. Just makes me so happy. Okay, next is I Heart Revolution, and these are technically part of Makeup Revolution, but they're like a sister brand. They make different products, so I count it in my inventory as a different brand. You know what I mean? So of those, I have chocolate dipped, coffee, hot and spicy, raspberry icing, and red velvet. And of those, I would keep coffee. And this is a neutral palette, but I feel like it's a nice neutral palette. It's got like purples and pinks and lots of different options in there. And the shimmer quality is really nice. It was definitely a choice between this one and the, was it Hot and Spicy? Honestly, because of the packaging. The packaging is really cute. So this has like this silicone rubberized like 3D-ish packaging on the front. The other one has peppers on the front. And if anybody knows me, they know that I love spicy things. So if it were just based on the packaging, I would have gone with the peppers, but I kind of like the color story in this one a little bit more, and I feel like I'm not picking too many neutral palettes, so this would be a nice cool tone neutral palette to have bopping around. Next are my Jeffree Star palettes. I own Alien, Cremated. Oh, I guess those are the only two I own. I don't know why I owned another one. I own the Alien and the Cremated palettes, and of the two, I would keep Alien because I am obsessed with space and aliens and anything alien or space themed. Not to mention, the color story is just absolutely gorgeous. The quality is incredible. The greens. It's really the greens that I'm a sucker for. And there's not like too many greens. There's like 4 greens in here, but the like pukey mustard yellow. I guess there's like 5 greens. This is like a, yeah, there's 5 greens in there. I guess, is this one green? Is that considered green? It's like a very, very pale green. I don't know. I just love it so much. This is so cute. The packaging like bumps it up like 5 points though, because it's beautiful. Let's see. Juvia's Place is next. I own the Nomad and the Tribe. And I would keep the Tribe. This palette is so beautiful. Again, it's really the greens that are sucking me in. Really, I would keep this palette because of the greens. But also this shade Coral. This like, it's like a greeny, shifty shade. Again, the greens, the greens. I love the greens. It's beautiful. It's just so beautiful. Next is Kaleidos, and I own Club Nebula, Flower Punk, Futurism 3 Astro Pink, Futurism 5 Electro Turquoise, and Futurism 6 Lunar Lavender, and I would keep Club Nebula because how could I not? It is absolutely gorgeous. The shimmers, the green, the green, you guys, the green. It's just, I don't even know how to hold this palette because it doesn't open all the way, but it's so incredible. Honestly, it would make me debilitatingly depressed if I had to get rid of any of my Kaleidos palettes because they're all incredible. But if I had to, that's the one I would pick. Next is LA Colors, and I only own 3 LA Colors trios, and I have Lotus, Orchid, and Sunflower, and I would keep Sunflower. And I already have Pan on all of these, but also just the color story. Out of the ones that I have, these are probably the ones that I'll get the most use out of. Next is Milani, and I own Earthy Elements, Must Have Neutrals, and Gilded Jade. I spelled that wrong in my thing. I would keep the Gilded Jade because, you guys, I'm a sucker for greens. I love greens so much. The other 2 palettes that I have are just like small neutral palettes, so definitely not as fun as this. This like greeny highlight shade, all about it. All about it. I need to use this palette more because it is beautiful. But absolutely keeping that one. Next is Morphe. I own the Jaclyn Hill palette, Jaclyn Hill Volume 2, Jaclyn Hill Vault Bling Boss, Jaclyn Hill Vault Dark Magic, Jaclyn Hill Vault Armed and Gorgeous, the James Charles palette, and the Jeffree Star palette. And of all of those, let me grab it. I would keep the Jeffree Star palette. I feel like this one was a difficult decision, not because like I love them all so much, but because they all have so many shades. And while maybe for utilitarian purposes, you could argue that the Jaclyn Hill palette would be like the best everyday palette because it's the most neutral. You could also argue that the James Charles palette is the one that someone should keep because it's got every color you could want. But I chose the Jeffree Star palette, not because it's the Jeffree Star palette, but because, can I bend this back more? But because, can you guess? Can you guess? The greens, you guys. Also, the variety of colors really just speaks to me more than any of the other ones. The Jaclyn Hill palette is very neutral with a lot of like kind of redundant shades. The Jaclyn Hill Volume 2 is definitely more colorful, but it's a lot of corals and peaches and oranges. And this just, I feel like this gave me a good variety. You know what I mean? Plus, this pressed glitter is gorgeous. Yeah, so that's the one I would pick. Let's see what's next. Okay, Odin's Eye was next, and I kind of wanted to cry. Not just thinking about having to choose between my two Odin's Eye palettes. I'm not even joking. Makes me want to actually cry because I love them so much. Like I love them so much. I could easily say that these are my favorite eyeshadow palettes in my entire collection. Like these are, not only is the packaging just absolutely insanely gorgeous, but the shadows inside, the quality and the color stories are just top tier. Absolutely like god tier palettes for me. And I only own two. I want to own more, but currently I own two. And those are the Merry Christmas and the Christmas Eve palettes. It was so hard to choose. It was so hard to choose, but eventually I did go with the Merry Christmas palette. And it's this one. The reason I went with this one is because the reason I bought these palettes, other than them being just like absolutely gorgeous, and I felt like I needed them in my life, like my soul was like reaching through the screen to purchase them before I knew what was happening. That's dramatic, but I bought them because I was on the hunt for a very like traditional Christmas color story. And this one definitely gives me that more than the Christmas Eve palette. Because it's more like blues and stuff, more wintry looking, and this is like very quintessential Christmas. So for that reason, I decided to go with this one. But genuinely, if somebody tried to make me choose between these, I would grab both of them and run away forever. That's what I would do. Let's see. What's next? Profusion is next. I own a lot of Profusion palettes, so get ready because I'm about to spout all of them off. Mercury Retrograde, New Moon Rising, Aqua Gems Glitter, Amber Eyes, Chestnut Eyes, Citrine, Emeralds, Profusion Eyes, is that what it's called? Fuchsia, Meadow, Neon, Temptress, Velvet Matte, Topaz Gems Glitter, UFO, Triangle Alien Palette, the Grinch Small Fuzzy Palette, and the Grinch Large Grinch Shaped Palette, Chilled, Chocolate Vice, Oh no, wait, those are different ones. Never mind. Scratch it. Not the not the Grinch ones. Okay, ended a triangle alien palette. I was just on a roll and I got carried away. Of those, I decided I would go with my Temptress palette. Again, just like color story and color options. It was really, it was between this and Citrine, which is like a bunch of yellows. Oh, I'm not gonna grab it. But yeah, it's like a yellow palette, and I'm still not sold on choosing this over that one. But if I could only keep one, I don't know. I feel like if I could only keep one, I'd still have a decent amount of palettes. So maybe I could go with that one and I'd still have like a lot of shadows. So maybe I could, let me see if I can, I can't reach it. Can I look backwards and find it? Found it. It's like an awkward angle. Okay, so this is the Citrine palette, and it's just like, it's a yellow palette, and it is beautiful. It's quite pretty. Oh, I don't know. I feel like I don't really have a lot of yellow colors, like yellow shades, in any of these other palettes that I'd be keeping, but I wanted this one for the purples. I don't know which one I'd have less of. But I also wanted to keep this one for like the grays and for that ember color. So I think I would still end up going with this one, although I would really miss my Citrine palette. Okay, next is Makeup Revolution, and that is where the Grinch palettes are. So I've got the Grinch Small Fuzzy palette, the Grinch Large Grinch Shade palette, Chilled, Chocolate Vice, Color Book 05 Blues and Greens, Golden Bar, Pink Fizz, Reloaded Neutrals 3, Salvation Palette, Ultimate Color Chaos. Okay, those are all of my Revolution palettes, and of all of those, I decided to go with the little fuzzy Grinch palette. Absolutely partially because it is a little fuzzy palette and it's so freaking cute, but also because I do actually really like the color story. I think it's a really fun, Christmassy without being too Christmassy palette. And I really like the 530 Jazzercise shade. It's a really like pretty greeny kind of inner corner highlight color. I just really like it, and the packaging, you guys, it's like squishy and fuzzy, and I love it so much. I just love this. I had fun once. It was awful. Oh, I just love it so much. It's so funny and so cute. So I would definitely go with that one. And then Shroud Cosmetics. I have 4 Shroud Cosmetics palettes. I've got Divinity, Arcana, It's Freaking Bats, and Halloween. And this is the one that I was saying I might have to rethink my choice based off of my Glamlight choice. So to recap, this is the palette that I chose to keep for Glamlight. The palette that I chose to keep for Shroud is the Batty Bean Shroud It's Freaking Bats palette. And while they're not exactly the same, there's definitely some similarities. So they are very similar. Now, if I had to choose between the two, I would probably pick the It's Freaking Bats. However, I knew exactly which one out of the two of these that I wanted, so that one is definitely staying. Now, I was torn between the It's Freaking Bats and the Halloween. This is the Halloween. And now I think because the It's Freaking Bats is so similar to the Scooby-Doo palette, for the purpose of this video, I am going to change my choice for Shroud to the Halloween palette. Oh, this makes me so happy. Both of these palettes make me so happy. Halloween is my favorite holiday. Christmas trailing very closely behind. But this just makes me, you guys, I can't even tell. I'm ready for fall. I'm ready for Halloween. I'm ready. Summer hasn't even started. Like, it's still not technically summer yet, even though the weather is thinking it is. I'm ready for, like, I'm a summer baby. My birthday's in the summer, and I would bypass summer altogether if I could have, like, an extra long fall. If, like, all the months of fall, like, just repeated and we skipped summer because of it, I would be okay with that. I would be fine with that. Okay, so I'm going to keep the Halloween. And then, let's see, we got Smoke and Mirrors. I have the Jewel Vibes, Moonlight Shimmer, Soft Glam, and Amethyst. And this was tricky because I do like the Amethyst, but I decided to go with the Soft Glam. And this is a dupe of, I think, a Huda palette. I think so. I'm not super sure, but these shimmers are like, are you joking? For a $5 palette? Like, I don't even know if you, those two right there, these two, like, I'm sorry, excuse you? They're good. They're very good. And I would like to keep like a mauve-y palette, you know? So I'd keep that one. Next is Tarte. I only have 2 Tarte palettes, and those are Glamour and Gilded. So these are the ones that they sold like over the holidays. They might still sell these. I don't know. They came with like 2 palettes, and I decided I would keep Gilded, and this is what it looks like. And I guess I don't know, I guess I didn't really need to keep the other one if I was keeping this one. But the other palette, the companion palette to this, has a lot of like darker tones, a lot of darker blues. And while I like it, I just think that I would get a lot more use out of this one. So for that reason, I kept this one. The shimmers in here are like real nice. I don't think glittery-ish. Anyway, I went with Gilded. What's next? Did I skip one? Or did I never pick? I think I got distracted and I didn't pick. Okay, I got distracted while I was pulling the palettes and I forgot to pull a Too Faced palette. So I have the Peanut Butter and Jelly, Pumpkin Spice, and Sweet Peach. I have to keep the Pumpkin Spice, of course. There it is. I feel like when I bought the Sweet Peach, I thought it was like lighter than it is. I feel like now when I look at the Sweet Peach palette, it's like the tones are much darker than I feel like they should be. I don't know why. However, the colors on here are still great. Still great. It's honestly, it doesn't really smell like pumpkin spice to me. Kind of. It smells kind of like a pumpkin spice hot chocolate. That's kind of what it smells like to me. But I would definitely keep that one. I love my peanut butter jelly palette, but I cannot give up my pumpkin spice palette. I can't do it. I won't do it. Next is You Can Be, and I have You Can Be, Magic Spell, and Living Coral, and I would pick Magic Spell. And this one is a dupe for why am I blanking? I'm completely blanking. Lime Crime. This is a dupe for a Lime Crime palette. And I really like the color story. Again, you guys, the greens. I'm a sucker for the greens. But I think this is a really interesting combo, like the greens and the kind of dusty sagey greens and the dusty mauves. I really like it. So we're gonna go with that. All right, we've only got 2 palettes left. It's a ride. Next is Urban Decay. I have the Alice Through the Looking Glass, Moon Dust, Naked Honey, and Stone Vibes. And I would keep the Stone Vibes palette. I love the formula on this palette. The shimmers are so sparkly, so incredible. They really need to do something with this formula again because it's absolutely amazing. If I wasn't going to keep this one, it would probably be the Moon Dust palette. But we're going with the Stone Vibes. Okay, last is Wet n Wild, and I have Vegan Culture, Vinyl Collection, Comfort Zone, and Peanuts. And this is the newest one to my collection, and it's the Peanuts. And it's just really cute. It's the most colorful out of all the ones that I have, and I think it's got the most shades out of all the ones I have, and it's the only one that's really themed. It's got the peanuts on it, and it's just really cute. I have to choose this one, this shade. Ugh. Gorgeous, gorgeous. So yeah, I definitely have to pick that one. Oh, I really like how that looks super green on camera. It definitely looks darker in person, but anyway, that's that. So those are all of the palettes I would keep if I could only keep one from each of the brands that I own multiple palettes from. I just really felt like talking about palettes. Also, sorry if you can hear dogs barking. The neighbors, you know how it goes. So I don't even know how many palettes that was, and I am not about to count because that was a lot longer than I thought it would be. But yeah, I appreciate you guys watching this video. If you made it this far, give the video a thumbs up if you enjoyed it. Subscribe if you haven't already. Let me know what palettes down below of these, like if you would make any different decisions or if you would have made the same decisions. Let's chat. Let's talk about some eyeshadow. And I will see you next time. Bye.